This is Mark 11:23. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he say shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Call Haloim La Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Urchakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aqua that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shuab Amawan back at you with another lesson. We're going into this topic. All right, we will need spiritual power for the things to come. All right, Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Barakatah. All right, and you know, I was meditating, watching a couple of videos. All right, the things that are about to come upon earth. Right, let's grab this precept. All right, it's going to be a time that has never been. All right, this is Matthew 24, and this is verse 21, and it says, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Okay, so we're going to enter into a time, all right, that we have never seen in our entire lives, all right, and any of these accounts that we've had in the ancient times in the past. All right, we're going to enter in a time that's worse than any other time we ever had, because this is the last captivity. This is the final round. All right, this is the end game. Okay, it's like when you're playing a video game. All right, you have your final boss. Okay, and the final boss is always the hardest level of the game. All right, so this time that we're about to enter into, all right, is going to be a time, all right, that we have never seen. Is going to be that last boss, all right, the hardest level that we ever had to enter into. And this is why when the time comes, we're going to need, all right, spiritual power, all right, from Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi, all right, from above, okay, because the technology that this devil has, right, Esau, Edom, he's given the what? The fatness of the earth. He's given the blessing of the sword. All right. And him having the blessing of the sword, man, within itself is a heavy thing that's going to come upon the earth, because he has so much different types of technology. You know, remember, we're in the fourth industrial revolution of things. Everything is a digital technology. Everything is a machine, you see. So what this devil has in store for the people, man, is going to be it's going to be things that you only see in movies, you see, but the things that you see in movies are going to turn into reality. Okay, you're just going to feel like you're in a damn movie. You know, you're going to feel like you're in a damn dream when you see half of the shit that this devil's about to pull out. Okay, because remember, what's new to us is old to them. All right, they've been doing all types of technologies and bringing all types of, you know, machinery out for a long time, you know, in their little underground world, their underground bunkers, you know, the little military grounds that they got. What do you think that they use these tax dollars really for? All right, it ain't for the fucking street lights, man. It ain't to pave the roads. All right, these devils been using your money for a long time to pay off these people to create these weapons of war. All right, and ultimately these weapons of war, everything that have been created is for the men of the Lord. Okay, they ain't creating none of this shit for no 2/3, man. All right, 2/3 ain't gonna have spiritual power. 2/3 ain't gonna be able to fight against Esau, you see. But the only ones that are gonna be able to go against them is gonna be the men of the Lord, the 144,000, right? That the Lord is gonna have set up. Okay, so let me grab this. This is Daniel 12:1. And it says, And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. All right. So the main focal point is it's going to be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. Okay. So again, showing you that we're going to enter a time that has never been seen. Okay. Now, with that being said, all right, let me grab this a couple of these videos, right? This is, let me see. I think I had one on Instagram and a bunch of them in TikTok. All right. And some of them might be some bullshit. All right. But I'm going to tell you what. All right. Don't put it past. All right. Because this is definitely something that this devil has. All right. Yeah. This is one in Instagram. Check this out. This shit wild. This is in Chile. They found, it says this was recorded in Chile. Someone heard an explosion and then captured this. Was that a laser beam?
Cuando vuelva la luz, va a volver a explotar. Oye, justo hay una migra ahí, güey. Conche tu madre. Cuando vuelva la luz, va a volver a explotar. Oye, justo hay una migra ahí, güey.
All right, and that, see what that's called right there, that's called, I believe it's called a direct energy weapon. Let me see, direct energy weapon. All right, it says, yeah, it's called the DEW. Is direct energy weapons are advanced weapons that use concentrated energy, laser, microwaves, particle beams, sound instead of kinetic projectiles to disable, damage, and to destroy targets like drones, missiles, or electronics. Okay, offering light speed. Okay, precision and stealth, with major global powers rapidly developing them for defense against emerging threats like hypersonics and swarms. All right, which at the end of the day, I'm telling you, none of that shit is for no damn missiles. All right, because once the plagues are sent, as the scriptures say, once them missiles go, them missiles is not going to break their ranks. All right. The spirit of the Lord is going to be in each and one of those missiles, all right, to hit where they need to hit. So they're not created for that, all right? They're created for the time of Jacob's trouble. They're created for the time that the Lord brings spiritual power on men, all right? Because men are going to have spiritual power in the time of Jacob's trouble, man, all right? We're going to need it. We're going to need it. There's just no doubt about it, all right? Because the way this devil's about to come with his technology, his robots, his dogs, all right? His Terminators, all right? How else are you going to be able to, you know, beat that shit? All right, this devil has the blessing of the sword, man. You cannot beat Esau in his blessing. That's just point blank, period. You know, so for you got niggas that, oh, you know, I got my gun, you know, I got hella straps, you know, I got all this military shit. That shit is not going to work with what this devil's about to pull out. Okay, you talking about mass extinction, you know, mass termination that this devil's trying to do. He's trying to terminate everything in his path, you see? So in order for him to do that, he has to bring some type of weapon that nobody's ever seen. He has to bring out technology that nobody's ever seen, okay? So it says how they work, energy conversion, and see, this is the type of shit that they use for Hawaii. This is the type of shit that they use for, I think it was those fires, I want to say back in like 2018, 17, you know, you had all them fires in California, you know, where you had fucking houses were disintegrated, but trees were still alive. Trees were still standing in particular parts. How you think they were able to do shit like that, man? All right. Because of these type of weapons that they had. You see, they have to use these weapons at one point. They have to put them to the test at one point. You know, and this is how they're able to create, you know, forest fires, you know, burn down an entire block, an entire neighborhood, you know, this is the type of weapons they have. Okay, and it is created. I don't care what anybody says. It's created for the men of the Lord, because they know that the men of the Lord gonna have power from on high. Okay, the men of the Lord gonna be able to do, pyrokinesis, man. We're gonna be able to do, agrokinesis. There's all types of kinesis. You see, pyro goes into you being able to manipulate fire. Remember, the Lord manipulated all the elements of the earth. All right, we're surrounded around elements. Okay, and the problem is that we don't have that spiritual power, because those powers were taken away from us. You see, but it exists. Why? Because if you could have Esau have a what's that shit called? He got it in science. It's called the periodic table. All right, periodic table with all these different type of elements that you can combine them together and create things with it. All right, what makes you think we ain't gonna have the special access to that shit and more? You see, so the fact that he has a periodic table, okay, that when you combine certain elements, you're capable of doing certain things. All right, that means that it's possible. Okay, and we are the Lord's chosen people. So how much more us when the Lord puts the Spirit on us to be able to manipulate elements, man? So you're gonna be able to manipulate fire. You're gonna be able to manipulate water, winds. This is the things that are coming to our people. You see, and we low level have them now. Telekinesis. We're able to think the same things. How is it that brothers could be in a lesson and we're all thinking the same type of precepts at once at the same time? And we'd be like, oh shit, that's the Spirit. Yeah, because that's already a low level of telekinesis. Okay. So we're going to be able to do these things, on a high level when the time comes, when the Lord gives it to us, grants it to us. Okay. You got nature's what they will call nature's freaks of nature today, and it's usually with Jake. You see Jake do some fucking crazy ass flips in the air, 100 flips in the air. I'm just being, exaggerant right now, but you'll see them do some extra flipping that you can't even see with a normal person. You see, that's already spiritual power within itself, man. You see, you got somebody. This is one guy I forgot. This one guy I follow. I forgot his name, but this guy, when he does these moves, he usually got like a little sword on him, and he does a lot of like martial arts. But he be doing some shit where he'll do like 6, 7 flips in the air, yo. And I'm like, yo, that shit is wild. Like, how the hell he even did that shit? And that's because we low level have those type of spiritual powers on us already. All right. So how much more when the time comes that the men of the Lord pray upon these things and meditate upon these things? Okay. As a matter of fact, let me grab this precept. All right. This is let me finish reading this and then I'll grab it for sure. Right. This says how they work, these laser beams, right? Energy conversion, convert electrical or chemical energy into focused beams. Targeting, use sensors and tracking systems to lock onto targets. Effect, deliver intense focused energy, heat, electromagnetic pulse to melt, burn, disrupt, or destroy components. Okay, and again, this is how they done these things in Hawaii. Those forest fires, them California fires. They do it with direct energy weapons, man. Okay, and then they'll try to blame it on some stupid shit. They'll blame it on 2 little Edomite kids that were playing in the fucking forest, in the woods, and they just blitz some shit up, man. That's bullshit. Okay, it says types of DEWs, right? High energy lasers, all right? Use laser light to heat and damage targets, okay? It says high power microwaves, all right? Emit powerful microwave radiation to overwhelm and disable electronics, okay? Particle beams, accelerate particles to high speeds to hit targets. Acoustic weapons, use focused sound beams like LRAD for non-lethal or disabling effects. Okay. Advantages: speed, travel at the speed of light, offering an instantaneous engagement. Stealth. Beams are often invisible, making them hard to detect. And yeah, that's why a lot of these things get burnt down and you never see them coming. All right, because they use the stealth mode, man, when they do these things. Precision. Highly focused energy allows for precise effects. Scalability. Effects can range from temporary disruption, non-lethal, to permanent destruction. Okay, and this is how they're gonna be able to use, pretty much, hit EMP attacks. This is how they're gonna be able to cut the lights off in this shithole. Okay, all they got to do is just send a damn laser beam, which these other nations have the same technology. All right, they could have a certain type of warfare where they just cutting off lights, man, through EMPs. Cutting out lights and disrupting, satellite dishes out in outer space by just sending laser beams to the skies, man. Okay. It says in the last part, it says applications, right? It says applications and developments. Defense, counter drones, cruise missiles, and hypersonic threats. All right. Integration, being integrated into air, land, and sea platforms. Key developers: U.S., Pentagon, DARPA, China, Russia, UK, and others are actively developing them. All right. And there's no actively developing them. All right. Them shits is already here. They've been here. All right. It's just a matter of time before they actually bring it out. Okay. There's a time and a place. To everything, there's a season, as the scriptures tell you in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, man. A time and a place. All right. A time and a purpose for everything. All right. Just roughly paraphrasing it. Okay. And we're in the time of war. You see, we ain't in the time of peace. We're in the time of war. So being in the time of war, that requires them to come with different types of warfare, different aspects of warfare. Okay. So they could bring medical warfare on you. They could bring, military warfare. They could bring, this type of warfare with just straight EMPs and laser beams. You see, they could bring warfare just on your food. Warfare just on, your water supplies. All right. So we're in a time of war where everything is being more destroyed, because that's what this devil's known for, man, for destroying the earth. Okay. And destroying everything in his path with what? The blessing of his sword. Okay. His military weapons. Okay. And, weapons back in the day were based on what? Swords and knives. But then as you see, the gradualism of these different types of technologies that were created over the past centuries, right? Everything increased, knowledge increased on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, right? So on the left-hand side, you just see that weapons went from swords and knives to, guns, and then from guns to, now you have militaries. From militaries, you go to a bunch of damn, where you don't even need a military anymore. Now it's just fucking machines, Machines is when the time comes of warfare. All right, yeah, they're gonna have people on the ground. They're gonna have people controlling these things. But the real warfare today is just based off of machines. Whose machines got bigger balls, basically? Whose machines is better? This is why all these nations are in a competition. All right, to see who could create the bigger fucking robot, who could create the better, technology. Who could be more stealthy than others. All right. So with that being said, let me grab that precept that I wanted. All right. This is matter of fact, let me finish this chapter I was just in, right? That I started it off with. Mark 11, right? And let's take it from 22. It says, and Yahawashi answered, saying unto them, have faith in Yahweh. All right. Yeah, because faith is the base of all things, man. All right. When this time comes, all right, the way we're going to be able to have spiritual power and have these things happen is going to be through faith. Okay. Remember, the scriptures talk about in Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter, right? Whoever, let me just grab it real quick. All right. This is Ecclesiastes 2 and 10. It says, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord Yahawashi and was confounded? And to trust in the Lord, right, is to have faith. Okay. It says, Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? And whom did he ever despise that called upon him? All right. So everything that's being mentioned here, all right, is all about having faith. Okay. You have to have faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. When you grab Hebrews, all right, let's just grab Hebrews real quick. Hebrews 11:1. All right. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. You see, through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh, so that things that are seen were not, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Okay. By faith, Abel offered unto Yahweh a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Yahweh testifying of his gifts, and by it he being dead yet speaketh, right? By faith Enoch was translated that he would not see death and was not found, because Yahweh had translated him before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased Yahweh. All right. And Enoch was, all right, translated, meaning he was beamed up into a chariot, taken away, that he didn't have to see death. You see? And that's the same thing that we're going to see in these last days. By faith, all right, we're going to be beamed up into a chariot and taken away. Okay. It says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned of Yahweh of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark of the saving of his house, by the which he commended the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, and heirs with him of the same promise. You see? So you have to understand these things that are being mentioned, all right, is all about having faith. All right. And I could go on through the whole rest of the chapter, speaks about nothing but faith. Everything that was being done in faith. All right. Showing you that the faith is the base of all things. All right. There's no such thing that that it is impossible. All right. Anything is possible with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Right. So let's go back to Mark. All right. Mark 11:22, right? It says, and Yahweh shall answer and saying unto them, have faith in Yahweh, for verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his mind, right? Because doubt is a disease. Once you put doubt in your mind, all you need is a grain of a mustard seed to believe, right? Of faith to make these things happen. But all you also need is a grain of a mustard seed of doubt, all right, for Satan to come make you think otherwise, to make you doubt, and you will not end up having these things, you see? So it's important to keep your faith at all times, man, okay? It says, but thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass. He shall have whatsoever he saith. Okay. So when you don't doubt and you believe that those things are going to happen, all right, every single one of them things, all right, are going to come to pass through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. It says, therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. And when you stand praying, forgive if you have aught against any, that your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. All right. But that was the part. I didn't have to read that part. All right. Let's read 24 again. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire. Okay. So if you desire spiritual power in them last days, right, and you believe in that, okay, the Lord's going to give you that, man. As long as you come to him not wavering, all right, in faith. You can't come wavering to the Lord of faith. Wavering means like you like a sea, okay, back and forth. Am I gonna get it? Am I not gonna get it? You can't come wavering like that. You just have to strongly believe, all right, that it's gonna come to pass, and that's what's gonna happen. You see? So it says, therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, and ye shall have them. Okay. Now let's grab to this other precept that I wanted originally, right? This is John 14 and 12. Let's grab it from, let's take it from 10. It says, believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very works' sake. Verily, this is the point. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go on to my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. You see? So in that time, man, when the time of spiritual power is going to be needed, man, we are going to do greater works than Yahawashi did, man. See, Yahawashi was doing all types of miracles upon the earth, but we're going to do greater works than Yahawashi. You see? Because at the time, right, Yahawashi wasn't fighting, all right, against, you know, all these kingdoms and not like that, right? The Lord was being humble. He was just doing miracles and doing the work of the Lord. But see, in these last days, we're going to actually have to find a way to do miracles against those that are fighting against us. You see? So we're going to end up doing greater things than Yahawashi, because we're not even in the same time frame. You see? Again, Yahawashi was doing miracles all over there. The Lord was doing miracles that weren't even mentioned. Okay, let me grab that real quick. That's in John. It's the last chapter, I believe. Yeah, this is let me grab it from, let's take it from 24. It says, this is the disciple the disciple which testified of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. And there are also many other things which Yahawashi did, that the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. You see? So Yahawashi did miracles that, man, if they were to be written, all right, you wouldn't even have enough books in the world, all right, to be able to write down the miracles that the Lord did, okay, in that time. All right. So, you know, imagine what the Lord was doing of miracles. Okay. Let me see. I believe there's another one, the next chapter over. It might be maybe 1 second. I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it if it's not here. It's lucky. Yeah, that's all right. I ain't gonna spend too much time looking for it. But there's another one where it speaks about him doing miracles, all right, that, you know, were not written in the book, basically. Okay. So, as a matter of fact, let me do this real quick. Give me 1 second. And then I'll grab these videos. Yeah, this is Oh no, that's the same one. There you go. This is John. I knew it was in that next chapter. I knew it. This is John 20. I passed right by it. This is 20 and 30. It says, and many other signs truly did Yahawashi in the presence of his disciples. All right. And truly, let's read that again. And many other signs truly did Yahawashi in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book, but these are written that ye may believe that Yahawashi, Hamashiach, the son of Yahweh, and that believing ye might have life through his name. You see? So again, you know, those miracles that are written, all right, everything that's written for aforetime is written for our learning, right? The Lord gave us a certain amount of miracles, all right, to basically build our faith off of what you have read, all right? But there are other miracles that the Lord didn't even put in these books for a reason, you see? Because that's going to be the test of your faith, you see? Believing that pretty much anything is possible, even if you have read it or not, you see? You just have to have faith that whatever you want to come to pass is going to come to pass through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi. Okay? So that's a beautiful thing for us to know, okay? That we're going to do greater worse than Yahawashi, the Lord himself. You see? That's beyond, you know, something to be, you know, look forward to. You know, Lord willing, we all have, you know, spiritual powers in those days. All right. Some of us might not even be able to experience that because we're going to become martyrs. You know, we're going to be beheaded, you know, for a testimony of Yahawashi. All right. Or maybe the Lord is going to allow them to do some spiritual powers before they go. All right. But regardless, they're going to be done in those last days, man, as a testimony of Yahawashi to be written in those books. All right. Because remember, in the kingdom, you're going to have Acts 2.0. All right. So you're going to have the acts of the you know, of the prophets, okay, in those last days, all right, written in the book of Acts 2.0. Okay. So now let's grab me some more videos, right? Showing you that we're gonna need spiritual power, because how the hell we gonna compete with Esau's blessing? All right. And these are gonna come from TikTok. Give me 1 second, it's loading up. Yeah, these devils got some technology, man. They got some, man. We're gonna be like, what's that? What the hell is that damn? Damn, is it really taking that long? Come on. Hold on, I got a black screen right now. We're gonna be like, what's that bald-headed damn? Them bald-headed guys. I forgot the. I believe his avatar. All right, where they were able to have all the spiritual powers, man. That's all a sign of what we're going to be able to do. Okay, I'm not talking about Avatar, the blue ones. I'm talking about the other one, the bald-headed, look like Krillin. Or Dragon Ball Z is another one. You know, what they show you in Dragon Ball Z, we're going to have that. All right, look, this is different types of videos I got. All right.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10. Feel the earth move and then.
No, let me take the sound off of this shit. I do not own the rights to that music. All right, you'll get the point though. Like, how are we gonna be able to compete against these robots that they're creating? This is being created in China. You see, these are gonna be machines, just like the movie Terminator. When you had the rise of the machines, you know, nothing could break them. They're indestructible. You know, they're made out of fucking top-notch titanium and shit. You know what I'm saying? You go to punch that shit, you gonna break your damn arm. Okay, look how brolic these things are. You see, we're not gonna be able to compete against that. Right? Let me see. I got more. All right. You got these dogs, right? Which we've been knew about these. All right. These dogs are able to track you down. You know, they're able to put missiles on them. you know, weapons on them. They could carry that shit, you know, and hawk you down. How the hell you think you're going to be able to hide from that? Remember, when the time comes that we're going to be as pilgrims upon the earth and we're going to have to hide from a lot of the shit, right? We're going to have to hide from society because best believe they're going to be looking for us. They're going to be looking for those that don't comply with their world because they know we're going to be as pilgrims upon the earth. Why you think they're poisoning all the water, all the rivers and the creeks, you know, with all those pesticides that are killing shit off? They're poisoning the waters. You see, they do that for a reason because they know we're going to be as pilgrims upon the earth. So they're trying to cut off the source of every single thing that's going to help us survive on the outside of the world, off the grid. You see? So they're going to have machines and technologies like this, man, that's going to be trying to track us down. They show you that shit in what movie is that? I think they show you that in the Matrix, a little bit of it in the Matrix, in the third one or the second one. They show you, I believe, also that in what's that movie? Demolition Man. I believe it's in Demolition Man. Is it? Oh no, I think it's Judge Dredd. All right, where you had a bunch of people that were living underneath, basically in the sewers, you know, underground tunnels and shit. You know, they were trying. They had them eating rat burgers and shit like that. Okay, which we ain't gonna be eating shit like that at all. But that's what the movie was showing you that people were living off the grid underneath the ground. Okay, why? Because they were on the run from all these different types of technologies that were trying to track them down. You see, so that's gonna happen to us. This is gonna be the same thing we're gonna be going through, man. Okay, because remember, the whole thing is for them to get to the men of the Lord. All right, let me grab another one. It says U.S. government unveils an AI war robot. All right, this shit is supposed to be one of the top. It comes from Japan. It's supposed to be a robot of straight war. Look at this nigga. He walking like a normal ass person. All right, but this shit gonna know how to do jiu-jitsu on your ass. You know what I'm saying? Programmed to be able to basically kill. Okay, because that's what they doing with these robots. They're they're training them to basically bring death upon shit. Oh man. All right, let me see this one.
All right, let me give you the latest on Christian news and what is happening in the world today. China just signed a $37 million deal to deploy industrial-grade humanoid robots at real border crossings. And these aren't just demo robots. These are the Walker S2 humanoids. They are built for 24/7 operation with automatic battery swapping. That's right. They can take their own battery pack out, swap it out with zero downtime. Their job is for crowd control, inspections, logistics, guiding travelers, surveillance, and government-level enforcement. This is only one of many rollouts because China is expanding on what they call embodied AI across factories, public places, and even security. These robots don't tire, they don't question orders, and they do not have a conscience. Experts are even warning that this is the foundation of an AI-run enforcement system to replace human oversight. I want to give you relevant Christian news, not to scare you or put fear in you, but to warn you and to give an awareness of what is happening in the world today. If you feel the same way, please share this so the world can be informed of what is truly happening.
And that shit reminds me. And that shit reminds me of the movie Chappie. Great movie to watch. You see, Chappie shows you a lot of different things. Chappie shows you how Esau wants to be able to take all your memories, just like with the RFID. They're trying to tap into your mind, your thoughts, and they're going to be able to record everything of that comes out of your mind. All right, and they could download into a USB, and then they could put it into a fucking computer if you die, and then you could live on through a computer. That's what that shit was about, Chappie. But it was also about showing you that they had robots that were able to fight crime. You know, they were out there just destroying shit, being destructible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, being indestructible. Everything that came in their path, they was just destroying it. All right. So that also shows you the technology that they want to pull out, because remember, everything is predictive programming when it comes to these movies. Okay. So they showing you what's going to happen in the future. All right. So this is what this guy was just talking about. You know, they have all this type of, you know, robot deployment that, you know, is coming in 2026. You see, 2026 about to be wild. All right. This is another one.
This will be the most shocking news you'll hear today. The U.S. Department of Defense has just confirmed that a fully automated combat robotic system has been put into service on a large scale in the military. It's a mechanical soldier that can make autonomous decisions, fight independently, and accomplish kills without human instruction is already on the front lines. They don't need to rest. They don't fear. They have no emotions, only algorithms. The system is said to be driven by artificial intelligence and can judge the enemy and us within 0.03 seconds and carry out precise strikes with an error more than 10 times lower than that of human soldiers. This sounds like a military revolution. If these machines make a mistake, who will be responsible? The U.S. military says these robots will only follow programs, but programs are written by people and intentions are set by people. Are we losing ultimate control of the war? They've given the system a name, Battlefield Guardian, but no one knows if it's guarding us or quietly taking us over. This will be the most shocking news.
And that's just wild, bro. That it's all it takes orders from whoever gives the orders. So who gonna be the ones that give the orders, man? The ones that's gonna give the orders is gonna be Esau and these other nations. All right, who gonna be the targets? All right, they could program it to just target blacks, Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that's an Israelite, man. And that's what it's really for. Okay, again, it's made for the men of the Lord, man. All this technology is made for the men of the Lord, because why would you make it just to, you know, for 2/3 if 2/3 is already going to die off? And they know that. Esau knows that 2/3 is going to be, you know, taken out of the way because the scriptures say it. So the Lord going to take out 2/3. All right, He going to let the multitude perish that are born in vain. All right, and they're going to be, you know, they're going to die off through starvation, you know. They're gonna die off through, you know, military, you know, in the time of Jacob's trouble, you know, because they're gonna try to rise up against the governments and shit like that. Okay, yeah, they're gonna use a couple of robots, you know, to take you out of the way. Okay, but they much rather use, you know, boasting their devices that they have made, their new weapons and shit like that. See, these robots are made that they're indestructible, that they cannot be, you know, they don't weary, they don't tire out. Those are made for the men of the Lord, because that's the spiritual power that the Lord gonna give us, that we're not gonna be able to tire out. You know, we're gonna be able to you know, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna grab a couple of scriptures in a second, you know, showing you accounts in the Bible how the Lord was giving men spiritual power. All right, let me play these two more videos. All right.
Take you up to 120%. Copy that, sir. On my mark. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Mark! Take you up to 120%.
Yeah, they're gonna have shit like this.
On my mark. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Fucking machines, super saiyan machines and shit, kicking shit way across the globe, man. All right, this is the last one. Look at that shit. That shit doing fucking spin arounds and shit on the floor. Shit doesn't get dizzy. They throwing shit at this damn machine. It's over there still shooting its target that it needs to shoot. You see? This is how they're going to be able to program that shit. You know? Remember, why you think they need the biometrics of everybody, man? Because they want to be able to put that into the machines to detect who are the ones that they really need to go after. You see? Imagine having the biometrics of a man of the Lord. All right. Now I can send this computer, this damn fucking machine, to go specifically look for this man of the Lord. And his ass is just like Terminator. Terminator came in the movie. He was just tracking. He was looking for John O'Connor, right? He was looking for the little one. His mission was to look for him. Anything else that was in the way, right? He wasn't really dealing with it unless it was being attacked. But he was just specifically looking for the one person and kept scanning everybody to see if that was them. You see, that's what's going to happen in these last days, man. Now look at this shit. This thing was pissed off. Let me put that back a little bit, right? This shit was pissed off because they was messing with it, man. And it still didn't shoot at him. The guy even brought out a fucking AK, right? Look, it didn't want to shoot at him, even though it's being attacked, because it's showing you that the smarts of this robot, look, he's shooting at the floor and he holding back on the gun until he moves out the way. And then he lets go off on the bullets, man. Had the whole robot pissed off because he wanted to shoot off. And you see, whether this shit be fake or not, which is definitely not fake, all right? You know, this is the mentality that this devil has. He has this intent of building these machines to do exactly this. Like, this shit knew the difference of what was the fake one and what was the real human. He looking at both of these. He's scanning both of them. Which is the fake one? Which is the real one? Then he realized which is the fake one and blows his head off. Because it was designed to do that. So showing you that they had... See, this is why Elon Musk was telling you that AI is dangerous, man. And to the point where when all hell breaks loose, I believe it's no longer gonna take commands from people. They just gonna let these fucking computers do whatever the hell they want. So pretty much anything that they see that comes in their way, man, they're just gonna destroy it. Yeah, that was the beginning of it. You see? So this is what we coming into, man. These type of times, and this is why we're gonna need, all right, spiritual power. All right, let me grab this. This is take a couple of counts and then I'll close it out. All right, this is Judges 15, and let me take it from, all right, because this was talking about Samson, and Samson was one that had spiritual powers, man. All right, Samson was one of the strongest men, all right, that was able to, you know, look how he ended at the end, the Philistines. You know, he had them all in one, gathered in one building, all right. And after the fact that he had disobeyed the law of the Lord, right, and you know, he ended up getting his hair cut off. He ended up telling his secret, you know, for being, you know, caught up with a harlot and basically, you know, drinking that wine, all right. Had him all bent out of shape, you know, pretty much drugged him up. You know, and then he ended up, you know, slipping and telling, you know, what was his secret. All right. And what ended up happening, you know, they ended up gouging out his eyes. He was blind and couldn't see. You see, the Lord took away his spiritual power. Till the end, he came back with what? With faith, with prayer, you know, believing that the Lord will give him back that power. And they did. And he did, right? And he gave him the power to be able to knock 2 pillars down, right? And knock down the whole entire building and killed more people than he ever killed at once, you see? So that was all through faith, through spiritual power that the Lord had, all right? But you had, Samson was out there fucking fighting lions, bro. That is that's some shit that man, let a lion come at me. You think but my little ass gonna be able to fight a damn lion? I mean, I'm gonna try to have as much faith, but you know, the reality of it is that we ain't got the spiritual power right now. You know what I'm saying? So a fucking lion come up to me today, shit, that shit gonna come and try to devour my ass, you know? But the thing is, he had faith. Okay, he was showing, you know, the account was that he was showing faith that he was able to do these things. All right, through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH'S, Yahawashi. Okay, So one of his accounts, I didn't want to grab them all, but I mentioned a couple of them. One of them is 15, right? Where it says, let's take it from, I'll take it from 13. Yeah, I'll take it from 13. Actually, I'll take it from, 11. It says, then 3,000, no, let's take it from 9. All right. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. Right. And the men of Judah said, why are ye come up against us? They answered, to bind Samson, as we come up to do to him as he has done to us. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of Rock Edom and said to Samson, knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us? And he said unto them, as they did unto me, so have I done unto them. And they said unto him, we are come down to bind thee, and that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines. And Samson said unto them, swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves. And they spake unto him, saying, no, but we will bind thee fast and deliver thee into their hand. But surely we will not kill thee. And they bound him with two new cords and brought him up from the rock. And when he came onto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the spirit of the Lord Yahweh came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his hands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand and took it and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand and called that place Ramath. I forgot how you say this. Let me see how it says it. Ramath Lahai. That's how you say it, Salakia. All right. So you see, that showed you that the Lord gave him spiritual power to take the bands off of him, man. They basically burned off of him. All right. What does that explain right there? That's spiritual power within itself. And then for you to take 1,000 men and beat them up with one jawbone, that comes from on high, man. You see? A nigga can't even beat one person today. You know, I get jumped by 5 or 6 people. That shit gonna be it's gonna be a process. You see, but he done fought 1,000 men, and that was from what? From having faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay. Another account will be, let's grab this. This is when you had Samuel versus Goliath. Okay. When Samuel came to fight against Goliath, man. All right. How you think here was that did I say Samson? Salaki? I didn't mean to say Samson. David. When King David went to fight against Goliath, right? David was small compared to Goliath. You talking about Goliath was 9. He was like 9 something in that time. Because even back in those times, we were bigger than what we were supposed to be. You see? So we wasn't no 6 foot back in those days, man. we was literally like 8, 9 feet, 10 feet, you know, because everything was much bigger. You know, scriptures talk about how it took 2 men to carry a cluster of grapes back in those days. You see, that's how big a cluster of grapes were. You see? So how much, you know, now we're shrinking, though. Everything is shrinking, everything is dying, everything is disintegrating, getting smaller and smaller, because, you know, where we live, this place is just is completely polluted. All right. So we are like shrinking, living in this shadow of death, living in this place of just nasty ass, you know, disease and pestilence and you know, constant wickedness. Okay. So everything was much bigger. All right. But compared to Goliath, all right, David was little as hell compared to him. And how do you think he was able to sling a rock and to kill Goliath, right? Let me grab that. All right. This is 1 Samuel. I forgot exactly what chapter it was. It's the 17th chapter. All right, let me just grab a little bit of it. Trying to see where I could grab it for him, so I don't have to read the whole chapter. That's a big chapter. All right, but going back to it while I look for it, where to read off from. How you think he was able to sling a rock and hit Goliath and kill him, man, through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH'S, man. Okay, having faith in the Lord. All right, so let's grab it from. I'll grab it from. Damn, that wind is crazy right now outside, man. That wind has been like that all day, and that's spiritual, because that represents destruction that's gonna come upon this place. And look, it's right at the end of Hanukkah. All right, right on the Sabbath. Yeah, right after Hanukkah, it's about to get real ugly out here. Shalom, sister. So this is, I'll take it from 40. Let's take it from 40. It says, actually, you know, I got to grab a little bit more up. Hold on real quick. Let me grab it from the interlinear Blue Letter Bible, because it might break it down a little bit better there for where to start off from. Yeah, let's take it from 32, right? Perfect. See, that's why I needed that blue letter, because it breaks it down better there. All right, so take it from 31, and it says, David kills Goliath. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard. I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living power. David said, moreover, the Lord Yahweh, that delivereth me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. See, showing you again spiritual power. Who the hell gonna be able to come up against a lion and come up against a bear? You talk about a lion that can run about, let me see, the average man runs about, the fastest man in the earth probably runs about 20 miles per hour, 21 miles per hour, around there, right? Maybe 25. Let's give it 25. Okay. The average man runs about fucking 12 miles per hour. A lion runs about at least 40 miles per hour. All right. A bear can run, I think it's like 52 miles per hour. So these things are already more powerful than a human, man. You see? Right? So here it is that the Lord gave him spiritual power to be able to defeat a bear and defeat a lion, man. All right. That's power within itself already. Okay. And David was always a man of war, man. A man with his hands. All right. Which I'll grab another account, right? This is, so continuing, right? It says this, David said, moreover, the Lord Yahweh that delivereth me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go and the Lord Yahweh be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off from him. Why? Because our weapons are not carnal. See, he wasn't caring about no weapons, man. All right. See, our weapons of warfare are never been carnal. Our weapons of warfare have been always based on faith. You see, as a matter of fact, a quick precept that reminds me of that is Maccabees, right? When you have Maccabees, let me grab that real quick. This is 2 Maccabees 14 and take it from 7. But Maccabees had ever short confidence that the Lord Yahawah would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen. All right. And that's the same thing with us. We're not going to fear the coming of the heathen. What this devil's about to come with us. You know, what he about to pull out on us, right? Against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. And so comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and withal putting them in mind of the battles that they had won afore, he made them more cheerful. And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths. Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defense of shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words. And besides that he told them a dream to be believed, worthy to be believed, as if it had been so indeed, which did not a little rejoice them. You see, so we never was the type to have weapons of warfare that were carnal, man. We always had weapons of warfare that were what? Spiritual, which was faith. All right. Again, faith being the base of all things, man. Okay. So let's go back to Samuel 17 and 40. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, I am a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord Yahweh deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord Yahweh saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's Yahweh, and he will give you into our hands. You see? So showing you that again, it was all about faith. All right. The Lord didn't care about none of these. See, the Lord will put spear. He did put spears and swords in King David's hand, because he taught him what, he taught what he said in the scripture. He said, it is the Lord that teaches my hands to war. All right. But see, that was only in certain occasions. But even when King David went to go battle with a sword, it was coming in the name and the faith of Yahawah Ba'Shem Yahawah Shai. You see, it was that simple. All right. It wasn't because that was his choice of weapon at every single moment. Okay. Before any of those things were ever used, it was always going to be the faith of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Because if you want to look at it, he used the weapon of having 5 stones. You see, little ass stones. It just wasn't a bigger weapon than what Goliath had. You see? But him using those stones, they came in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. You see? Showing you that the Lord is going to be with us when it comes to spiritual power in that day. That's why everything written aforetime is written for your learning. You see? These accounts are to be remembered in the times of trouble. You know? Look at Daniel. Daniel was thrown in a lion's den. He had to have faith, all right, that them lions weren't going to eat his ass. You see? Because it goes back to being, you know, all about faith. All right. So let's go continue on. It says, and it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. You see? So the Lord had the spirit, all right? He had the Lord's spirit inside that one particular stone. The fact that it went through his forehead, into his forehead, sunk into his forehead. There had to be a whole lot of spiritual power behind that rock. Remember, this nigga came with his armor. You know, their armor was, back in those days, they used to arm themselves from head to toe. So that shit had to go through the damn head armor that he had on to go into his forehead. Okay. It says, so David prevailed over the Philistine with the sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. You see? So there it was the Lord that put the spirit on him to be carnal with it and grab his own sword just to prove a point, because he came in the name of the Lord first. He told them what was going to happen. He said, I ain't going to kill you with a sword and shield. I'm going to kill you with the stone. And then once he hit him with the stone, he already had killed him. He knocked him out. He was done. You see? So him cutting his head off afterwards was to show what he was going to say that he was going to do through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? So again, it's going to be the same type of thing that we're going to go through in these last days, when we're going to have to use spiritual power to defeat Esau's technology, these robots they got, these different types of weapons that they able to fucking throw a laser beam at your ass and disintegrate you, man. You see? The one brother from the San Francisco camp in GMS does beautiful videos. Oh, his name's Manakta Zakba, right? His videos are fire. You know, he always putting together some beautiful videos on spiritual power. He puts videos together of all types of different things, you know, according to the scriptures. But, you know, when he puts the ones together, you know, with brothers having spiritual powers, that should be going in. You know, I mean, I make videos too, but, you know, I don't make them like he make them all day long. You know, he always got something coming out. When I do videos, I got to get in a certain mode. I got to take like 2 days off and just focus on straight video productions, you know. But, you know, I don't be really finding time for him. I try not to do him so much because it takes away from me bringing out the word, you know what I'm saying? Which is still me bringing out the word, but I'd rather bring out the word than to be sitting there, you know, for 2-3 days just trying to bring out videos, you know what I'm saying? I mean, video production. All right. But let's grab this. This is 2 Samuel. All right. This is Habakkuk 3:19. It says, the Lord Yahweh is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places, to the chief singer on my stringed instruments. All right. So the Lord, all right, was giving you feet like hinds feet, man, meaning that you were able to jump high as hell, man. As a matter of fact, let me grab it from 2 Samuel. All right. Let's grab it from 2 Samuel 22, and I'll take it from 29. For thou art my lamp, O Lord Yahweh, and the Lord Yahweh will lighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop. Meaning he could crush an all army. How you gonna run through a troop? That's spiritual power right there, man. That's some Superman shit. You see? Superman flying into his enemy and just poof, it goes right through him, you know? It says, by my power have I leaped over a wall. How you gonna be able to jump over a wall? Spiritual power, man. Shit, a nigga could barely jump over a curb today, you know? Could barely jump over a fence without you trying to climb that shit first and do some type of like little kid, you know, flip off of it. But he was jumping over walls, man. All right, because this is still going into King David. All right, it says, as for Yahweh, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord Yahweh is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust in him. You see, matter of fact, quick one. All right, the Lord is a helper of the forlorn, man. Okay, the forlorns are the ones that have no hope, because when the time comes that, you know, we're in trouble, all right, with this devil's technology, it's almost going to be as we have no hope, right? Like, damn, I can, not meaning that you're not going to have no hope in the Lord, meaning that you're not going to have no hope. Like, nigga, I'm done. I can't do this. How the hell am I going to beat this guy? He over here with this type of machinery right now, yo, with different types of weapons. So this is why you're going to have to turn to the Lord, because the Lord has always been one of the forlorn. All right. This is Judith 9:11. For the power standeth not in the multitude, nor thy might in strong men. For thou art a power of the afflicted, a helper of the oppressed. And we're going to be oppressed in that day, even more than ever, with this devil's technology, with this devil's robots coming after us. You see? An upholder of the weak. Yeah, we're going to be weak. Okay? We're going to be weak because we ain't going to have nothing to go against this devil. All right, except Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, which that's what makes us strong. You see, because of the faith we have. It says, a protector of the forlorn, a savior of them that are without hope. Okay, when you go into that word forlorn, right? Forlorn. All right, it says pitifully, sad, and abandoned, or lonely, unhappy, miserable, all right, broken-hearted, depressed. You see, this is the shit that we're gonna be feeling all type of some type way, all right, in that day, because hey, it's gonna be the end. It's the end of everything. All right. It says forsaken. Okay, remember, we're gonna constantly be begging Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, all right, to have mercy upon us. So when you having mercy, when you're calling upon mercy, all right, you're going to feel miserable for the shit you done did. You're going to feel sad and unhappy, sorrowful, dejected, okay? Because most of these things are going to happen to us for a reason, because we have sinned against our power. And what the Lord wants us to do, he loves to see us beg with supplication and prayer. You see, constantly begging the Lord. All right, and that's what's going to be done in those days. We're going to be begging the Lord to basically get us out of that moment, get us out of that tribulation that we're going through. You see, it says abandoned, neglected, forgotten. You know, these are all things that we have gone through. All right, with us being sinful against our Maker. Okay, it says. Of an aim, this is the second definition, of an aim or endeavor, endeavor, unlikely to succeed. Yeah, so we're unlikely to succeed against Esau and his blessing of the sword. You see? So that's when Yahawashi comes into play. When we are weak, we are strong because we have faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. You see? Because we can turn to a power. Because we're down at the bottom, and the only thing we can do is call upon Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi to save us, man. And that's what the Lord loves, because that shows his power in us. You see? So let's go back, all right, to Samuel 22 and 30. For by thee I have run through a troop, by my power have I leaped over a wall. As for Yahweh, his way is perfect, the word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust in him. For who is power save the Lord Yahweh? And who is a rock save our power? All right, and our rock is who? Yahawashi, man. Yahweh is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and setteth me upon my feet places. My bad. And setteth me upon my high places. Okay, so he makes a hind's feet is what deers have, man. Okay, sure-footed meaning. Deers don't fucking tire out. Deers be out. You see them motherfuckers just running from the wood, from one end of the woods to another, just hopping like it's nothing. See, we're gonna be non-weary in those days, man. Running away as pilgrims and being as pilgrims upon the earth, you know. Right? It says, he teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. How you gonna break a bow of steel, man? All right, you need spiritual power to do that. Okay, thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy gentleness that has made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps upon me, so that my feet did not slip. I have pursued mine enemies and destroyed them, and turned not again until I have consumed them. I have consumed them and wounded them, and they could not arise. Yeah, they are fallen under my feet. Okay. But that's pretty much, let me see. Yeah, that's pretty much the point. All right, because I ain't going to read it all the way to the bottom. All right. So, you know, again, the name of the Lord, Proverbs 18 and 10, man, the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous man runneth into it and is safe. That's going to be the only way we're going to be able to make it safe and out of this place, man, is by constantly believing in Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi, man. Okay. All the way to the end, because the scriptures say that the righteous shall scarcely be saved. To scarcely be saved means that we gonna barely make it up out of here, man, through the skin of our teeth. Okay. The time of Jacob's trouble is gonna be that you met a lion, and then you escaped the lion, and then you met a bear, right? And then when you get away from the bear, and then you put your hand on a wall, and then a serpent bit you. All right, which that ain't gonna be us. But that's what the time of Jacob's trouble is going to be like. You're going to be escaping one thing to run into another thing, to try to escape that, to run into another thing. How are you going to be able to escape these things? Through spiritual power, through the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi, man. There's no other way you can make it through that. Like I said, a nigga could barely run 5 miles, man. These lazy ass niggas today that don't even work out can't even run 2 blocks. You know, at least the men of the Lord, we keeping ourselves in, you know, we go to the gym, we work out, you know, we keep it up, we're preparing ourselves, you see, but we're still in the flesh. We're still in the flesh that wearies. We're still in the flesh that tires out. So at one point, if we're going to be going against Esau's fucking blessing that doesn't tire out, which we just seen it in the video I showed you, them robots are made to go forever and not fucking tire out, man. How the hell we going to be able to compete with that? By the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi, man. All right. Matter of fact, let me grab this. This is because this talks about how we're gonna be sparks among the stubble. Okay. This is Wisdom of Solomon, 3rd chapter. And let's take it from, let's take it from 1. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of Yahweh, and there shall no torment touch them. Why? Because we're going to have the Lord on our side. In the sight of the unwise, all right, these people that don't know this word, all right, these heathens that's going to be coming after us, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery, and going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace, right? For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality, and having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded. For Yahweh proved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace has he tried them and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubbles, man. They shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and their Lord Yahweh shall reign forever. You see? How we gonna become sparks among the stubble, man? That means sparks among the stubble is like when you basically running, all right, and we're gonna be running so fast, we're gonna be like poor little Tink Tink. And, you know, you're gonna see a whole bunch of sparks hitting the ground, man, because we're gonna be running so fast. You see, the Lord said that thou art my battle axe. With you, I will break in pieces the nations. You see? We're going to have spiritual power to break nations. You see? It says, they shall judge the nations and have dominion over the people, and the Lord Yahweh shall reign forever. That they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him, and grace and mercy is to his saints, and he has care for his elect. You see? So the Lord gonna always be with us, man. All right. Matter of fact, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 5. All right. When you go down a little bit, all right, which the beginning talks about us, you know, being beamed up into the chariot, strangeness of our salvation. All right. But when you go down a little bit, it says, where's it at? Yeah, this is 17. I'll take it from 16. Let's take it from 15. But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord Yahweh Shai, and the care of them is with the Most High Yahweh. Therefore shall they receive a glorious kingdom and a beautiful crown from the Lord's hands. For with his right hand shall he cover them, and with his arm shall he protect them. He shall take to him his jealousy for complete armor, and make the creature his weapon for the revenge of his enemies. You see? So he gonna make us a complete weapon, man. All right? He's gonna make us his weapon for revenge. See, when the Lord gives us spiritual power, that's just gonna be the anger of the Lord running through us, you know, being used as a vessel. Okay? Because the Lord said he gonna lay on Edom. Let's grab that. This is I believe it's Ezekiel 25. All right, by the hand of Judah. Let me see. Where's it at? Where's it at? Is it 25 or 26? Might be 28. Salakia, give me 1 second. And I will lay on the hand of Edom by Judah and Israel, KJV. I believe that's how you, yeah, it was Ezekiel 25. My bad. It was 14, right? It says, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You see? So we're going to be laying hands upon these damn devils, man. All right? because it's going to be the vengeance of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and most of it's going to be in the kingdom. All right. But again, in these last days, we're going to have spiritual power to do certain shit. You see? All right. And it's going to be more, you know, more of things that we can't even imagine. You know, but we're not going to use swords and laying hands. All right. We're going to do things just spiritually, man. We're going to be able to look at a nigga and explode his ass into pieces by just looking at him. See, that's the shit that we're going to be doing in these last days. X-Men shit. You see? Why you think the brothers always going to these different, you know, Marvel movies and shit? Why you think they make these Marvel movies? Because they know we're going to have spiritual power. So Esau gets the idea from knowing we're going to have these spiritual powers. Okay? So I had another precept that just popped up in my head and it went away. All right, but that's pretty much the point anyway. Okay, and these last days we're gonna do things that you yourself can't even fathom. All right, because we're gonna have high level faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, especially what we're gonna see. All right, going down in front of us. All right, you ain't gonna have no choice but to call upon the Lord when you start seeing some crazy shit going on in front of you. You know, and you get put in a certain pickle where you're gonna be like, damn, how the hell am I gonna get out of this? You see? That's what the Lord wants you to do, to turn to him to get you out of that scenario or that situation. You know, that's the beauty of us being able to call upon the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's the beauty that we have a true power we can rely on when all these other, you know, devils have to rely on their stupid ass idols that are nobodies, man, that are nothing. You know, they have to rely on their weapons. Okay. They have to rely on, you know, their military government, all that. You see, we're gonna have to be past that, because remember, we have a power. So this is why these nations fear us. See, they're already fearing us by just the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, just preaching the word. Imagine how much more when the Lord gives us spiritual power, you know, to be able to do certain things. These people gonna be in straight beyond fear. A lot of these people gonna just they're gonna have fucking heart attacks when they see what we do through the spirit, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much the point, man. All right. So I pretty much ended off on that. I had another one in my mind and it kind of left me. But yeah, man, we about to come into a time where we're gonna need spiritual power on another level. All right. For man, a lot of faith we're gonna have, all right, for the Lord to get us out of certain situations. All right, let me just see one more real quick. Let me see if this comes up real quick. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Come on. This damn phone been tripping lately. I think it's time for a new phone. Oh, this is yeah, this is yeah, I'll leave it with this one. All right, this is Isaiah 41, and I'll take it from this is 41. Oh, as a matter of fact, before I grab that one, hold on, and I'll leave you with this one too. That's the one I was looking for that popped back up in my head. This is Jeremiah. All right. Because again, we're going to be turned from fishers to hunters, man. And by being hunters, what's that mean? We're going to end up having spiritual power. All right. This is Jeremiah. Which one was it? 15. This is Jeremiah 16:16. Behold, I will send for many fishers saith the Lord Yahweh, and they shall fish them, which we're doing now in these highways and hedges by preaching his word, right? And then it says, and after will I send them for many hunters, and they shall hunt them for every mountain, from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks, for mine eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. At first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. All right, and this is going to be in the time of, after that the nuclear missiles, man. All right, the Lord going to bring us back down, right, and he going to turn us into hunters, man, because we're going to have to go into the holes of the rocks and take out these elites that were hiding, you know. So even in that time, we're going to have spiritual power also, especially when we come back with them brand new bodies, man. Once we come back with them brand new bodies, that's going to be spiritual power forever. You see, because now we're going to be able to have angelic bodies and heavenly bodies and fleshly bodies at the same time, man. You see, so we're going to have forever spiritual power. You see, now let me leave you with this last one. Isaiah 41:11, right? And it says, take it from 12, Salakia. Thou shalt seek them and shalt not find them, even them that contend with thee. They that war against thee shall be as nothing and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord Yahweh thy power, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, fear not, I will help thee. Fear not, thou worm Jacob, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith the Lord Yahweh, and thy Redeemer and the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shalt make the hills as chaff. Thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and thou shalt rejoice in the Lord Yahweh, and shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel, man. Okay? So again, the Lord gonna make us, all right, we're gonna be instruments, threshing instruments, man. Okay? Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small. How we gonna be able to do that, man? Spiritual power. Okay? He gonna make us a new sharpening, threshing instrument. Okay, and we're gonna be able to, beat these niggas small if we have to. All right, which at the end of the day, again, it goes into us being in the kingdom also, because in the kingdom, forget about it, man. In the kingdom, we're gonna be whooping a whole lot of ass, with our rod of iron, with our staffs, and listen, man, we gonna have swords, all that, man. Okay, but it's gonna be in a righteous manner. We ain't gonna be waging war on people. It ain't gonna be no more war. There ain't gonna be no instruments of war anymore, in the kingdom. All right, but we're gonna have to beat people with a rod of iron, and we gotta whoop that ass because they're getting out of line. You see? So listen, the whole point was that we always had help from Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, and that's the beauty of it. That's why we have to always remember these accounts, because the Lord has always helped those, all right, in the time of need. He knows how to save out of the time of he knows how to save in the time of affliction. The Lord is always going to be right on time when we need him most, because that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to beg for him. So sometimes it might feel like he ain't gonna come and show up, all right, but that's part of the begging, so he could show that true power in you, so he could show the true power that he has toward his people to these nations. You see? And that's why we're going to be a battle axe onto him, but that's pretty much the point. So Lord willing that you will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Elohim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. To the brother and the sister, keep pushing. brother, and you sister continue to learn in silence. And may Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai bless you and your households. All right. Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.